現在、ジャパニーズストリームでは、ロストファタウス2024を公認で日本語ミラー配信しています。ロストファタル2024を運営するフレイムファタルズは、女性を中心とした RTA コミュニティで、夏にはフレイムファタルズ、冬にはフロストファタルズという RTA イベントを GDQ チャンネルで配信しております。今回のイベントは全米女性法律センターを支援するチャリティー RTA イベントです。全米女性法律センターは法律を通じてジェンダーの平等を実現し、特にマイノリティや貧困家庭の女性が直面する障害をなくす活動をしています。イベントでは寄付と関連してカテゴリーの変更やエンディングの選択等が予定されており、各項目ごとに設定された目標金額を達成した際に行われます。また、寄付金額を表に見立てたビットウォーによってキャラクター名、選択肢などが決定されることもあります。こちら、現在のリストリームが自社で配信となっておりますので、本家ではすでに終わっているということもあります。ビットへの寄付というか、貢献とお考えの方は、本家のスケジュールを確認してください。また、直接の寄付以外にも、イエティでグッズを購入したり、ハンブルバンドルという現在行われておりますフロスパタルズで走られているゲームを集めたようなバンドルがありますので、そちらを購入することでも間接的に寄付が可能となっております。
That's amazing. So a lot of collecting in this game, a lot of really, really fun and interesting movement. So I've already seen the run personally, so I really can't wait to see it later. But I know that we were also talking about just the love of the game itself. So for anyone who
少し時間がありますので、次のゲームについて簡単に説明をしていきたいと思います。次に予定されていますゲームは Hylics 2というゲームでして、こちら2020年6月22日に発売された非常に独特なグラフィックやコミカルなシナリオの RPG、シュールな RPG となっております。こちらのゲームは日本語に対して非対応ということで、基本英語のゲームですが、有志によるパッチというものがあるそうで、そちらを導入することで日本語でもプレイできるということです。私もこのゲームに関しては全く調べた限りのことしかわからないのですが、非常に独特です。そうですね、Steam ページに書いてあったあらすじを説明しますと、暴君ギミーの手下たちは長らく消滅したと思われていたその暴君を再構築しようとしている。主人公の三日月頭のウェインは仲間を集め、その事態を阻止しようとしているということです。このゲーム、2とついている通り、ハイリクスの、1といいますか、ハイリクスというゲームは当然ございます。で、おそらくそちらでのストーリーの続きなのかなという感じはしますが、詳細は不明です。
time. It's going to be just a little bit today, so it's going to be right after our big horror block that ends with Made of Skur. But right now, we still have a ton more of Fatales still to come. So next with Frost, we've got Hylics 2, Any Percent, the wonderful, surrealist, bizarre masterpiece that it is. Take it away.
はい。モブがランダム生成された文章を喋るせいで英語が分かっても意味は分からないゲーム。なるほど。なるほど、分からんですね。
Thank you so much for the incredible interview, Rubyheart and Metroid Prime. As was mentioned by them, Hylics 2 is up next, but first we will be taking a little bit of a break. Also, this is the end of my hosting shift, so thank you all so much for having me. It's been great hanging out with you all, watching some speedruns, meeting some incentives, and raising money for the National Women's Law Center. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'm leaving you in the capable hands of Tozzle coming up next on the host mic. So thank you all again, and we'll be taking a little break. Stick around for the rest of the runs today.
初代は3回死なないとまともな武器が入手できませんでした。なるほど。なるほど。まあ、死ぬのは前提な難易度というか、なんというか、そういう感じなんでしょうね。で、そうです。奏者さんの紹介がまだでしたので、少し紹介させていただきますと、奏者さん、ローリー・バニキンズさんで発音が合ってるかは怪しいですが、SRC 上で2位27分9秒の記録をお持ちです。まあ調べた感じだと、フィールドで、このゲームはフィールドはアクションを使いながら進むような形でローリングだったり空中ダッシュなどができるらしいのですが、調べた感じだとアクション難易度がそこそこ高いというか難しめなという噂を聞きましたので、奏者の方の美しい移動なども見どころかなという感じはしますね。
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Frost Fatales 2024 in benefit of the National Women's Law Center. My name is Tozzle, and I am thrilled to be back on the hosting mic for this wonderful event. Chat, it is so good to see you again. I see so many familiar names in chat and a whole bunch of new ones as well. Welcome back and welcome in. We have such an amazing lineup of games, runners, commentators, hosts, interviews, and more, and I am so glad to be able to share this experience and energy with you. For those of you who are just joining in or are new to this event, Frost Fatales 2024 is presented by Frame Fatales, a community of women and femmes who are interested in speedrunning, charity events, and gaming. If you would like to support Frame Fatales, you can follow us on Twitter at Frame Fatales and tell people about this event. To learn more, type !FF in the chat. While we get the next game set up, I would like to remind everyone when you are donating to be sure to select a bid war or bonus incentive. And once you select that incentive, be sure to click the add button. While you're doing this, you'll be able to see all of the amazing prizes you may be eligible to win with your donations, like that Pika dumpling. Oh my goodness, the Pika dumpling, which could be yours for a $10 minimum single donation. We currently have a few incentives and bid wars open right now. I would love to tell you about them. This one that I was very curious about earlier, this Unlock the Dog ending. This is for Silent Hill 2, which is coming up in a few runs. Let me tell you, chat, I spoiled myself because I had to get curious about what dog ending could be, and all I can say is, wow. Wow, you definitely want to donate to see that happen. We are currently sitting at $410 of the $3,500 we need to see to unlock the dog ending. And I'm telling you right now, it is a must-see situation. I'd also like to remind everyone that all donations during this event are going directly to support the National Women's Law Center.
なるほど。2% だと後の方で手に入れる技を先に入手する。スリップダメージが強い。はい。なるほど。有識者様のコメント助かります。このゲーム解説の方はいらっしゃいません。ゲーム開始の途中でも解説の方いらっしゃいましたら参加していただけますので、参加条件、と注意事項等を読んだ上でぜひ解説の応募をお願いいたします。また、音声解説が難しい方でもチャット、コメント等で補足をいただけると非常に助かります。はい、ゲーム画面来ました。Hylics 2です。
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hylics 2. As you can tell, this game looks like a very normal and good, and there's nothing weird happening game. I am here with the Valiant Sun. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to be here, Laurie.
I'm glad you're excited. This game had a few new developments recently, so you guys are going to see something even more broken than you maybe already expected. So with that being said, I'm all good to get this run started. So I will begin in 3, 2, 1, go. So Hylics 2 is a turn-based RPG.
はい、ゲーム開始いたしました。はい、この先ほどちらっと見えた三日月型の頭のレインさんが主人公となっております。もうすでになんか家の外に出て飛んでスピーディーに移動を始めております。
Including a bunch of skips. I'm going to be doing a bunch of skips in the early game before we ever do a fight. So, to start, the first thing I want to do is I want to go get my first party member. Because not only is having party members.
今は最初のパーティーメンバーを探しに行っているようですね。
It will also give us the ability to air dash, which we can actually use for a first big skip of the run. So I'm going to enter the throne room here, and King Blairall is going to be missing. but Pongorma will join our party and give us the pneumatophore, which gives us the ability to air dash. And I'm immediately going to use this to do a skip. I'm going to climb the back of this throne room a little bit, and then dash into the air. And at the end of my
なんかすごく、
save the game.
はい、ショートカットをしてますね。
When I land on the ground, I'm going to use a item we have in our inventory, the mini crystal, which I believe is supposed to, like, you know, help if you accidentally soft lock yourself. But I can load to the location of my last save, and if I do that well on the ground, I can sort of jump in the air with it, and I can use it to get over the invisible wall blocking this vault. That has a lot of money, and I would usually need to beat the game's third boss before I'm allowed to get back here.
たくさんお金があるので、
It allows me to get a lot of money.
まあ、こっそり侵入して、
Super early in the run, and then as soon as I have everything,
金をもらって、
I can just
出る。
pop out. So, one last thing I want to do before I head to the game's first dungeon is I'm going to head down to a shop down here and buy 2 really good pieces of gear. Leather gauges are
そ
gloves.
して先ほどのお金を使って、ここでガンガン使い物をして、
A lot of speed and extra health. So they're really just general good pieces of gear because we're not gonna like this game already doesn't have a traditional level up system, but we're
このゲームのグラフィック非常に独特ですが、どうも、クレイ、粘土で形を作って 3D スキャンして、それを取り込んでみたいな形で作っているそうです。
pieces of gear that are that good that early, especially combined with the stuff that we got in the treasure vault.
ある種のクレイアニメ的な方法ですね。
Another major skip here. We're in Violax's edifice, and we're going to get our third party member in Desmond. Usually we would have to climb up a giant tower, fight a boss in order to open these jail cells and free King Blairall. However, I'm also going to drop a safety save here in case the skip goes wrong.
はい。本当はボスを倒して牢獄の開けないといけないところを壁を抜けて救出。
to work back to the starting area of the game, Wayne House, and that skips the entire tower climb and boss fight that I just mentioned. So there's already the first of 4 bosses that we would usually fight in this route, just completely skipped in like a couple minutes. And then it does not stop there. I do have another pretty big skip coming up. But before I do that, I have a pretty notable
数分後くらいにボスが来るかなみたいなことを言ってた気がしますね。
This is because there is an NPC in the mines down here who I can trade a juice box and they will give me a key to their house, which is not a trade you should make with a stranger. I will clarify that now. But because that trade was offered to us, we're able to get the only an extra skill we're going to pick up in this run, or extra gesture, rather. This is Soul Crisper, and it lights enemies on fire. I don't think I have to explain why lighting things on fire
ファイヤー
is
の
good for damage,
ス
but
キルを覚えた
it's just like the most helpful
感じですかね。
extra damage over time effect we can do. So now I'm going to try and set up a
エクスプレダメージオーバータイムなので、これがさっきおっしゃっていた強いスリップダメージ技ですかね。
I'm going to start this cutscene. And then one of them will be stored on this menu, just like that. So when I exit the menu, when I exit the control menu that I stored in the middle of the cutscene, the game makes me actionable in the middle of the cutscene, and I can use that to use the mini crystal to warp out of the cutscene, and it skips the whole thing. So that's like a minute cutscene that we used to have to watch that we do not anymore. And speaking of funny little skips, I get to do another one right here. So I got the dock key from Blairall, which I accidentally went back into the town. I got the dock key, which usually gives me access to the airship up north. However, the game is a soft lock, or not a soft lock prevention, as a skip prevention.
これ
Usually
は
you activate the airship from anywhere until you've opened the gate. In theory, that's not entirely true. The only condition you have to meet is
何か
you just
仕
have
込ん
to
でますか
leave
ね。
the main town area where you would usually open the airship gate with the dock key in hand. So I can actually save a few seconds by doing that little mini crystal jump
で
there instead of
おそらく悪いことをして飛行船を入手しまし
I
た。
just get to the airship that way and it saves like 5 seconds. So moving on, we're finally gonna have like our first fight of the run. All my gear is up to date. So before I went to do that cutscene skip, I got myself clean using the bathtub and Wayne House. Clean is a status effect that makes us immune to other
ここで
status
初めての戦闘ですね。
really useful in this first fight of the run because this enemy on the right will counterattack anytime we hit it.
戦闘はまあターン制のバトルとなっています。
Because you know, we have clean, we're immune to status effects.
燃やしてますね。先ほど覚えた技ですね、多分。
Party member in this fight, Samsnosa, but all of the enemies do. So we can use that to our advantage to just kind of wail on the enemies while they're pretty defenseless to stop it. And we also get to show off our first character-specific skill in this fight. So I use Soul Crisper. Everybody in the party has full Crisper, but only one. Each character has access to one of their own skills, and that one for Pangorma was Lightning. Lightning does a lot of damage all at once. However, as a negative effect, it leaves Pangorma stunned for the next turn, meaning they won't be able to move this turn. So we like to use it late into fights where we can get
サンダーは非常に強力な攻撃だけど次のターンはスタンする。
So with that fight being done, we now have all 4 party members in our party, and I'm going to grab 2 more pieces of gear here, a rancher poncho and another leather gauge, before doing a little bit of a menu here.
While you're grabbing the gear, can I jump in for some hype for this game?
Sure thing, yeah.
We have $10 from Anonymous, who just says hype for Hylics 2.
Thank you so much. So the next dungeon is really funky. If you want to fit in another donation or announcement during this one, you can, but
移動がスムーズすぎて、もうなんだか
interesting is all I'll say.
こう壁抜けてるのかこれが普通なのかよくわからないですね。
Donations. We have $50 from Adorable, who says Hylics hype. And we also have $25 from Flay. Shout out to Mason Lindroth, the artist and designer behind Hylics, and best of luck on the run.
Thank you so much. So yeah, like I said, this dungeon is really interesting. Something kind of good about it is that I don't have to wait for the visual of the path being formed to be done to walk on a path. So as long as I know where I'm going in here, I can just keep moving. I am gonna wait a moment here because this enemy. Okay, yeah, there we go. Once that enemy crosses the fountain, I don't like to move before that enemy crosses the fountain, even though it's theoretically possible. And coming up is the most luck-based boss in the run. This is where we throw ourselves at the wall and pray. But I also get to do something funny here. I'm going to be setting up another menu storage and doing this entire fight pretty much with a stored menu. So, I have to be careful not to press accept any extra times during this fight, because otherwise I will like activate my stored menu and that will mess
メ
up
ニューを
the skip I want.
保持したままなんか戦い出しましたね。
So this is Fontintrapine, the most evil worm I have ever had the misfortune of fighting. The first turn of the fight, it uses accelerate, so
このおそらくボスのような芋虫
and in the upcoming
系の一本一本まで粘土で作ってると思うとすごい 作り込みですね。
So after it puts my entire party to sleep, it uses its second set of turns to just do like a few random attacks. And I'm really hoping it does an AoE because a party member will wake up if they get attacked. So I'm really hoping for the AoE 100 kicks, which didn't happen, unfortunately. However, he attacked 2 different people and they both lived. So they will actually both get the chance to attack this turn, which is really good. It means we probably win this fight. I'm just going to reset up Soul Crisper to be safe. And, yeah, okay, we win the fight. That's really good. Okay, yeah, I messed up the cutscene skip. That's unfortunate.
勝ちましたね。
I was a little bit too hasty in excitement of finishing that fight, and I mashed the menu. It's totally fine. It doesn't mess up the route at all. But something interesting to note, for some reason, I don't know why, of the 3 cutscene skips we're going to do in this run, spoilers, we're going to do one more. This one, this cutscene's really short, so it's like, you know, the least time save of the 3. For some reason, that fight or that menu would be invisible. So I know, like, I have written down the inputs I have to do in the menu to mini crystal out of that cutscene, but the menu wouldn't actually be visible. So I would have to do the entire thing, like, without being able to see it, which again isn't that bad, but it's just like a weird note. And I don't know why it's like that, but now we're flying over to the 3rd boss. So I'm going to do a bit of equipment here again. To give
今3番目のボスに向かっているようですね。
Give me 1 second. Oh,
こ
I
れ
see
は
what's
装
wrong.
備品を整えているのかな。
Did something wrong. Give me 1 second here.
Is that time for me to come in with a quick donation?
Absolutely. Now would be a great time.
Perfect. We have $10 from Happy already, donating on behalf of my dogs Lobo and Blas, because chat says everything is going to be good with that Silent Hill ending. Thank you so much for that donation. And to remind everyone, we do have that incentive open to unlock the dog ending in Silent Hill 2, which is incredible. We're currently sitting at $470 of that $3,500 needed to meet the incentive. So we have a ways to go, but chat, I know you can do it for the doggos.
All right, there we go. I fixed my menu. Thank you so much. So
準備が整いまして、
with that fixed, I am going to really quickly get a full heal off of this NPC. And then we're in the 3rd area, Fog Blast. Fog Blast is a little bit of like a labyrinth usually, where we have to activate a lot of switches and keys in order to gain access to a palace at the top of like a mountain-ish type thing here. But we can skip everything in this game. So I'm going to climb up onto this terminal that we would usually activate to raise the bridge once we get the key.
本当はスイッチを押したり鍵を取ってきたりして進む場所なんですが、セーブ&ロードを使っていろんなところをスキップしてるそうです。
The 3rd boss of the normal game. And just before we do that, I need to go into the basement of this dungeon and hit the switch. But
is it all right if I share with you some very exciting, good vibes towards this 3rd boss coming up here? Oh, yeah. So not only chat have we met $20,000 raised.
そしてボスにボス戦ですかね。
From Mason Lindroth. It reads, huge thanks to the Hylics community and to the NWLC for their important work. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Thank you so much, Mason. So this third boss is Dozier and Carcero, and they are a really interesting
土
duo
偶のよう
boss.
な何かと。
So, pretty much, Carcero starts each turn in this like wrapping that you can see just got put on him. And pretty much the dynamic of the fight is
マフィンを剥いた。
if he is unwrapped at the end of a turn, which I should have done earlier in my turn, my bad, but there we go. If he's unwrapped at the end of the turn, Dozier will use his turn to rewrap him. And this creates a little bit of an interesting dynamic where if Dozier dies first in this fight, he will actually get angry and do a lot more damage. But if Carcero dies first, then Dozier never needs to rewrap, and that allows you to that allows him to keep attacking you repeatedly. And he has some really strong attacks. So I have to be really careful throughout this fight to make sure I balance the two health bars, because I don't really want to be in a situation with either boss where I'm stuck
この手前に4つ並んでいるのがおそらく味方パーティーのアイコンで、このなんか力図から液体が出ているようなエフェクトがスリップダメージなんですかね。
Some bad things happening. But at this point of the fight, we're sitting fairly pretty. A lot of our characters are
おそらく状態異常でしょうね。
but it shouldn't be the end of the world. I think at this point we are good to just keep attacking until the fight's over.
Keep snapping.
Keep snapping. Yeah, that one's still at full health. So, despite a
エ
minor
フェクトはデバフやバフですね。はい、ありがとうございます。
that is the end of the third boss. So I'm gonna do one more cutscene skip that's a little bit funny here because
ローディング画面にも残っている。
lost boss fight. So we're gonna have this
ここで
cutscene, and I'm not gonna know if the cutscene skip is gonna work, like if I did the setup correctly, until after this cutscene plays and I get out of the fight I'm supposed to be in.
That's amazing. That's so different from what I watched the other day.
Yeah, so if I see the control menu pop up here like that means I got it. So I just need to use Perish to insta-lose this fight, and then do the same menu that I did earlier with the first cutscene I skipped. And this is like the longest cutscene we skip by far.
ここでわざと負けてカットシーンをスキップして自宅に。
I got that one. But that being said, the run is not over, definitely. I still have the final dungeon and boss to do. After a little bit of menuing there, it is time to head to the final part of the game. So
次の
I'm gonna
最後のファイナルダンジョンに向かう。
call the airship. I haven't mentioned this, but this is like a little place in case you die or like use some sort of fast travel method that the airship will, you can just call it there every time, and it's really
2から何か生えてますね。
because that way we don't have to like keep the continuity of where's the last place that we left our airship. We can just call it right back to the start of the game. So now we are in the final dungeon here, and this one is gonna get skipped a lot of too. I hope you didn't like to see the full of this dungeon. First thing I'm gonna do is use another mechanic here that I believe also is help with
何か調整してますね、これは。
I'm shoved up against a wall for a long enough period of time, the game will put me out of my like airborne state and allow me to jump again, and I can use that to climb up, like shove myself in a corner there and climb up this wall, which skips a lot of the dungeon. Usually you would have to pretty much climb up the whole dungeon, go all the way back down to get to that switch, or like go climb all the way up the dungeon, go down a decent chunk of it to hit one switch. Hitting that switch gives you access to the switch that I just hit. And then
ここでまたセーブ&ロー
you
ド。
use that switch to get a different key, and then you can go to the final boss. So by doing that jump, I basically skipped the entire up and down section and just kind of do the final climb up. Also combined with that save and load I did there, or that mini crystal jump I did there to help me skip a massive portion of the dungeon by skipping the first of two keys that you'd usually get. So this is the second of two keys you'd usually get in this dungeon, the vessel room key. And with the vessel room key in hand, I can go up to the final boss chamber.
鍵を取って、
Now,
ラスボスの前の鍵を、扉を開ける。
Usually this fight is one of the more consistent ones in the run, but that's never stopped him from messing me up before. So I think I'll be safe. So after just a short cutscene here, we're going to start the run. Or start the final fight. First item I'm going to use is the
ラスボス戦ですね。
item we picked up really early in the run that heals you but also poisons you, and we can use it on enemies, as you saw. So I just poisoned Gibby at the start of the fight. This is really nice because poison is a damage over time that we usually don't have access to.
毒と炎症を与えて、まあスリップダメージをゴリゴリを与える感じですね。
For our ability to do more damage. So Gibby is a little bit of has a little bit of a pattern to him that I need to manipulate. Pretty much every time I hit him, as you see, he counters by summoning a progeny, which is this little minion guy. These are problematic because they love to heal Gibby, heal his status effects, heal his health, and also just do a lot of damage to you. However, he has a little bit of a pattern to him where
お供が多いんですけども。
has certain attacks that he does or doesn't like to do, depending on the amount of progenies that are on screen. So the goal of this fight is to basically manipulate him into every other turn, performing this attack right here, Killer Trees, because Killer Trees just explodes every progeny on the field.
なるほど。
So this fight is
お供を召喚したお供を使って大ダメージみたいな感じですかね。
A doesn't do killer trees every turn because that's problematic, but basically the progenies should never be able to attack on their own because he's going to use killer trees and get rid of all of them before they ever get a chance to move. The fight from this point on, it depends. I want to see who he attacks here. Okay, from this point on, the fight should be pretty good. So if you have a donation or two you want to read during this
あ、ロードギビーだからこれがあれですね、ストーリーにあったウォークンギビー君。
I just wanted to let you all know that the new fights and skips were all
再構築されちゃったってことですかね。
executing them all really well with less than a day of practice. You got this, Laurie. Also, hi Mason in chat. We also have $50 from Salem Morn. Shout out to the Hylics community and shout out to the great work the National Women's Law Center does. Thank you so much for your donation. I also love this one. There's no comment, but it's from Ginger Snapped You. A $10 donation. Thank you so much. It reminds me of that little glove just doing the snappy snap.
Yeah, the gloves are a really cool part of this game for sure. It's really funny because this game is like entirely in play, and then there's like they're just attacking with gloves, which I think is super cool. All right. So at this point in the fight, again, the pattern is.
よくわからないうにょうにょしたのはおそらく回復アイテム
I should explain a little bit what's happening because
だと思うんですが、なんだか
dying to every attack, a final
よくわからない
boss
形ですね。
when I've never upgraded my characters. But this boss in particular, their attacks have a little bit of these like gates to them, where they'll do like I don't fully know how it works, but they'll do a certain amount of damage. But there's like it'll be merciful on actually just one tapping you. And like we definitely take that to our advantage here with these full heal items, the cloud germs that I got. But also the cupcakes that I grabbed like literally at the beginning of the run, they grant defending, which lowers the amount of damage I'll take from one attack, which is really helpful. But with that being said, this fight is almost done, and I don't have any more healing. So it's time for that little bit of
回復アイテムがもうない。
about not killing you to come into practice at the end of this turn. So unlike every other turn where I'm trying to heal and he'll only have 3 progenies, this turn I'm going all out offensive and he'll end the turn with 4
ということで、こ
progenies.
こからはまあ、倒れるのが先か倒すのが先か
Killer trees.
ですね。
Again. So he does it again here, and this should leave one character alive. I think in this instance it'll be Wayne. Yes, in this instance it's Wayne. So now Wayne is just going to block,
おお、
even though he's at 4 HP.
ウェインしか生き残ってない。
This is really important because the game does not kill
こ
all
こで
progenies that give
炎症ダメージでボスが倒れましたと。
end that fight with no extra enemies on the field because we
ギリギリの戦いでした。
and that will take a lot of time. Again, they are really annoying support enemies. So, thankfully, again, we got rid of the fight. Not only like manipulated his attack pattern using the amount of minions he had, but also made sure we were able to beat the fight with no progenies left so we didn't have to fight any extra. So time is going to be in like 5 to 10 seconds. I just need to go all the way down here, and there's going to be like a bridge with a button at the end of it, and time is when I hit this button. So I just have to walk up this bridge, and time. That is
Time.
2.
よし、ここでタイムですね。はい。
Yeah.
グッドゲームです。
Sorry, yeah, no, there was a lot to talk about in a very short amount of time. So sorry if I was rambling on a few points, but it's a very fun
主人公さん、頭の
Again,
時
so much happening.
持ち上げられてますけど、首抜けませんか？
Before you say your closing remarks, I just want to read this donation just to like wrap up the Hylics too. It's $50 from RJ's. Okay, it's hard to say. Manjeet.
主人公、
Go, Laurie, go.
歯磨き粉になっちゃった？
You did a great job.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, a few shout outs are in order. First off, a few people that did throw in their donations during the run. Mason Lindroth made pretty much the entirety of this game himself. When we get to the credits, you're going to see or when we get to the ending screen at the end of this cutscene, you're going to see literally like made by Mason Lindroth, music by Chuck Salamone. Like it was literally just those two. And like this is such like a big and like ambitious and beautiful project. And there's a lot more to this game than what I showed. I skipped a lot of stuff. I didn't do a lot of side quests. So please play this game yourself. It's in the official Frost Vital Humble Bundle. So you can grab it along with games like Studa Regalia, Abzu, and I believe our next game on the schedule is called like Griff. And I believe that's on the bundle as
Guilt's
well.
on the bundle, yeah. Guilt.
So, yeah. So you can grab this game and a few other amazing games for $10. And you absolutely should. But yeah, those two.
こちらのゲームもバンドルに入っている というような話をしてますかね。
Another two people that got their donations read, Brutally, and I believe it's pronounced just RJ Smangit.
非常に素晴らしいグラフィックと音楽。皆さんぜひ遊んでくださいといった話をしてると思われます。
For making this run what it is, I'm just kind of playing along. Those two, again, incredible job what they've done with this game. All of the glitches are just really fun to do, and they're super cool people as well. Thank you so much. With that being said, I have just kind of a few general shout outs to all of my friends that came in. I got so many more pings than I ever expected with people wishing me luck, and I just want everyone to know I appreciate all of you, and thank you for supporting me. And I usually wouldn't shout out my Twitch because I don't stream a lot, but as has been mentioned during this run, this route is like brand new. So I definitely want to try my best to optimize it and get the best time I can. So if you do want to check out my Twitch, I probably will still be streaming this game in the upcoming couple weeks because I want to push this route as hard as I can. It's super cool, and I can't wait to see how low the time goes with it. With that being said, that's everything I have to say. So thank you so much, and anyone else can take the floor.
Thank you, Laurie, so much for showing off Hylics 2. That was such a graphically unique RPG. I absolutely love the claymation elements. And
ということで、こちらの非常にユニークな RPG、ハイリクス2、こちら終了いたしました。こちらのハイリクス2は、Steam および itch.io で配信しております。また、今回のフロストファタルズ2024のゲームを集めたバンドルにもハイリクス2入っているということですので、皆様もぜひ興味がありましたら見てみてください。
Okay, everyone, please stick around because coming up next we have
それでは
on women in the gaming industry
ハイ
featuring
リクス終わりましたので、次回進行を一旦退出いたします。ゲームの切り替えを行います。それでは失礼いたします。
To talk to one of the members of the Fatales community, who is an award-winning illustrator and game developer who has created charming, colorful, and wild game worlds like Floppy Nights and one we'll be seeing on Wednesday that I've been playing nonstop over the past few weeks, Dicey Dungeons. So, hi Marlo, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Like I said, right before this, I can boot up. I was right in the middle of a run as the thief. So can confirm. Well, honestly, I'm just really excited to talk to you. And I know that you are commentating Dicey Dungeons later this week.
Yes.
As a game artist, have you ever had a chance to, like, Devs React style watch a run of one of your games, or is this a brand new experience?
So I've actually had the pleasure of commenting for Cell in the past. I believe it was for Fright Fatales a few years ago. They did a run of the Halloween DLC for Dicey Dungeons. And that was, and I'm sure this will be as well, a very unique experience because it's so interesting to see people run your game that you made. I know that a lot of devs have said that, but it's just totally wild to see. But also Dicey Dungeons in particular, because it's like just doing math really fast. And I'm like, how do people do this? I take so long playing a run of this game, and I help make this game. So it's quite an interesting experience.
Absolutely. And with the roguelike nature of this game and so many others, there's so much memorization that goes into it too that I find so impressive. So wholeheartedly second that.
Yes.
Okay, so now just talking about the games themselves. When I look at your art, it immediately makes me think of something I would see in a Steven Universe-esque cartoon or a graphic novel. So what led you to using this particular art style
in games. I know that some of your history was from game jams, but like I would love to hear more about that journey.
Yeah, for sure. So I can't really talk too much about like my journey without talking about like participating in local community game dev stuff. So I went to school for illustration. And in my senior year, I was like, I really want to make games. I've played games my whole life. Like, this is kind of where I want to go. And I started attending local dev meetups. And our local group here in Portland is called the Portland Indie Game Squad, or we call it Pig Squad for short. And through Pig Squad, I was able to start doing game jams. Like, I just met like-minded people who were also kind of all levels of skill, from like hobbyist to professional, doing game jams together. And it was a really cool experience to like apply my kind of like illustration style to games and see that it could work in games, and like kind of, you know, stretch those muscles and get a little bit better at that. And it was through game jam games that I kind of like started building a games portfolio and started applying for games jobs, and kind of directly led to me working with the Dicey Dungeons team, because I kind of had some stuff that was out there in the world that existed in games form. So it was sort of an interesting like art school to games pipeline.
That's incredible. And I know that you have a bunch of smaller games and dress-up simulators that you've made on itch.io. Were a bunch of those products of those game jams you were a part of?
Yeah, so I participate in Pig Squad, but I also am an organizer for Pig Squad now. So I am kind of like locked into participating in every single game jam that we do throughout the year. And yeah, like over the course of, you know, man, I don't even know. It's been like 6 years or something I've been doing games, but forever. But yeah, I've like gotten a little bit better at like scoping through game jams too. So I think that's like really helped my career as an artist in games, to be able to say like, I know exactly how much I can do in 2 weeks because I've done so many game jams and made so many dress-up simulators.
Yeah, and I know that that was one of the things that you've mentioned in the past was a limitation that you've started to get really good with. So I know for Floppy Nights, there are so many cards that go into, if any of you haven't played these games, Floppy Nights is a essentially top-down battle simulator using cards, following an adorable protagonist named Phoebe, who wants to be an inventor, and basically goes on odd jobs throughout town, saving her city so that she can move out of the house. I feel like that's a decent description. And then
very good.
Amazing. And then Dicey Dungeons, which has a very D&D-esque plot of this game against Lady Luck that never ends, going through these roguelike dungeons and enemies. So there are so many enemies in these with simple but adorable and charming animations. So being the art director, what led you to making that decision for these games?
Yeah, I think that I come from a background of like playing a lot of RPGs and like, you know, playing stuff like Pokemon and like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. And I think that the idea of like a huge collection of like monsters or characters you can interact with has always been really appealing to me as an art director. I also am drawn to games like that come out more recently that are like that. Like, I love a cast of characters, and I think that that's just something in my art that I love to do. Like, I love to make new monsters. Like, I just always find myself working on these games where I'm like, but what if we had more enemies? And you know, you gotta handle scope and stuff when you're working on games. You can't add enemies forever, especially when you work on small indie teams. But I like to get away with as many as I possibly can.
I understand why. It feels like so many of the enemies from both of these games, honestly, stepped out of an Alice in Wonderland-esque world of some of them are from D&D, some of them are from popular culture, and others are just a vacuum cleaner.
It's really interesting that you say that, because when I had my first call with Terry, when we were discussing like if we were going to work together on the game on Dicey Dungeons, he had all these enemies made up that were very D&D themed, and he's like, I kind of want to get away from the D&D themed, and we actually both explicitly started talking about Alice in Wonderland. We were like, what if like it was just kind of like mishmash of like you would get a vacuum cleaner next to a vampire, like stuff like that. So yeah, clearly we did an okay job because you picked up on it very well.
Absolutely. And I know that I mentioned to you previously when we talked just some of the parallels that I saw with other D&D campaigns and really incredible storytelling that we both seem to really enjoy. So just from the bottom of my heart and so many others, thank you for creating these games. And I can't wait to see what the studio comes out with next.
Yeah, thank you for playing.
Oh, 100%. And
we wouldn't be anything without the people playing the games, so.
Absolutely. And for anyone out there who hasn't experienced your games, or for people who have, is there anything that you want to say to those people, either just about them or about yourself, about getting involved with games?
Yeah, I would say that as somebody who kind of used to think that, oh, I'm just an artist, I can't make games, and then, you know, slowly breaking down that barrier by participating with my